The most underrated players in baseball. Guys who aren't necessarily the stars on their team, but make a huge impact either way. Today, I'm going to be telling you who the most underrated player is on every single team in Major League Baseball. And if you want to see the most overrated team in Major League Baseball, remember to drop a like on this video. But first, let's talk about SeatGeek, the sponsor of today's video. If you're like me, you love going to games, concerts, events, and if you're looking to find the best deal on tickets, look no further than SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. And there are more than 70,000 events every single day that you can buy tickets to on SeatGeek. I'm talking MLB postseasons coming up. I'm talking concerts. I'm talking about the start of the NFL season. So whatever your ticketing needs are, SeatGeek's got you covered with the best deals and the best prices. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. Plus, SeatGeek is the only site that allows you to return your tickets before the event with swaps. And what I love is that SeatGeek takes tickets from all across the web and puts them in one place, and then gives them a rating with their SeatGeek score on a scale of 1 to 10. If you see tickets that are red or orange in those low 1, 2, 3 ratings, you want to avoid those and not buy them. But if you're seeing tickets with a green SeatGeek score 8, 9, 10, those are must-buys. You got to get them right now. So as always, your boy came through for you. Use my code Giraffe for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase using promo code Giraffe. Make sure you click the link in the description to download SeatGeek today. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. Getting today's video started, the most underrated player for the Oakland A's has to be Ryan Noda. There's not a lot of great options out in Oakland, but Noda I think is the best one available. While he doesn't put up any numbers that jump off the page initially, like 11 homers, 17 doubles, 38 RBIs in 90 games this season, what is fascinating about Noda is his ability to get on base. Despite only hitting .229, his on-base percentage is .375, almost a full 150 points higher than the aforementioned batting average, which allows him to have an OPS still right around 800 at 794 and an OPS plus at 128. You're looking at one of the best walk rates in all of baseball at 17.6%. Regardless of how he hits, his ability to get on base is pretty elite. 375 is one of the highest on-base percentages in the entire league. That has value, making Ryan Noda the most underrated player on the A's. For the most underrated player on the Washington Nationals, the clear and obvious choice has to be Lane Thomas. After a couple decent seasons split between St. Louis and Washington, Lane Thomas has had his breakout this season, hitting 20 homers, 30 doubles with 69 RBIs, nice, and 15 stolen bases in 122 games, hitting .287 with a .334 on base, .480 slugging, and an .813 OPS. Similar to other Cardinals outfielders, as soon as you get traded away, you become that much better. Lane Thomas joined the group with Randy Arozarena and Adolis Garcia. Thomas has shown flashes before, but this season he's put it all together and is now one of the better outfielders right now in the National League this season, and maybe he can continue on that success and be one of the best ones next year as well. For the San Diego Padres, it's so obvious that Ha-Seong Kim is their most underrated player on their team. Kim struggled his rookie season in 2021, but improved last year in 2022, finishing with a 106 OPS plus, and this year he's really taken a step forward with his game, career bests all around the board. We know he's a phenomenal fielder, great on the base paths, but the bat has really woke up. 120 games this year, 16 homers, 18 doubles with 45 RBIs, stealing 27 bags, hitting .278 with a .369 on base, .439 slugging, and an .808 OPS, and OPS plus at 125. When looking at F4, Ha-Seong Kim ranks 12th in Major League Baseball for hitters at 4.3. He's rocking a 126 WRC plus. I mean, he is a complete player. It took him a couple years, but he's improved upon it every single season, and right now he is one of the better middle infielders in baseball. Next up, let's head out to the Steel City for the Pittsburgh Pirates' most underrated player, and I'm going to go with Dave Bednar. Bednar is simply one of the best relievers in all of Major League Baseball. After doing it for a couple seasons now, I think people need to notice this is that guy. He is that dude. This year in 51 innings, he has a 2.12 ERA with a whip at 1.118 and a FIP at 2.23. So yeah, the numbers are legit good. Bednar striking out close to 30% of the batters he's faced this season at 28.6%, while only walking 7.6%. You're looking at one of the better lockdown closers in all of Major League Baseball on the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I don't know if he gets into that conversation from a lot of people. So for me, Dave Bednar, the most underrated player in Pittsburgh. Now, I know a lot of you guys know who this player is, but Bobby Witt Jr. is casually becoming one of the best players in baseball right in front of our eyes, and I bet you if you ask people at the end of the season, there still are going to be some non-believers, but you should stop because Bobby Witt is here and he's so good. Hard to call the #2 overall pick in a draft underrated, but that is Bobby Witt right now, and it's also the Royals. They don't have a lot of great options. So far though, through 122 games, Witt has 24 homers, 24 doubles, and a Major League best 7 triples with 79 RBIs and 36 stolen bases, basically all career highs thus far. 281 average, 321 on base, 502 slugging, and an 823 OPS, but where the huge difference has happened this season with Bobby Witt is defensively. Currently, Bobby Witt is top 5 in Major League Baseball for F4 at 5.0. He's been incredible defensively. I think he's in the 90th percentile for OAA at shortstop. He's stealing a ton of bags, lowering the K rate, raising the walk rate. There's nothing not to like about Bobby Witt Jr. He is simply one of the best players in Major League Baseball this season. That's why I think he's underrated, because he's on the Royals. You just don't think about it too often. It was really hard to pick someone who was underrated on the Phillies because I think all the guys are pretty equal or fairly rated, but Craig Kimbrell, low-key, is still a very, very good closer in baseball, and I feel like he doesn't get that much respect, maybe from myself included. While the ERA isn't in the ones or twos like you see some from the elite closers, Kimbrell does have a 3.12 ERA through 52 innings this season, and a whip under 1 at .962. That right there is disgusting. When you're looking at the K rate as well for Kimbrell, he's striking out 35% of the batters he's facing while walking under 10%, which is an elite K to walk ratio. So yeah, the ERA may not be a 1 or a 2, but he's limiting base runners, striking out everybody he's facing essentially, and limiting damage. Craig Kimbrell, I think, is the most underrated player on the Phillies. He's just been a really good closer. Heading back out west for the Los Angeles Angels, another team that was tough to pick someone for, but I ended up going with Brandon Drury. You have big offensive names like Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on this team, but Brandon Drury low-key keeps this lineup going. So far through 90 games this season, 17 homers, 20 doubles, 2 triples, and 54 RBIs, hitting .269 with a 308 on base, 488 slugging, and a 796 OPS for an OPS plus at 112. The numbers again don't jump off the page, but Brandon Drury is a more than capable offensive player in this lineup, provides value with the ability to play multiple positions, even though they're mostly locking him in at second base. He's just all around a very solid player, and I think he was the most obvious choice for underrated on the Angels right now. Although you could make an argument it might be Mike Trout. I don't know what's going on here, but we got another team that wears Reds, the Cincinnati Reds, that is. Their most underrated player, I'm gonna go with Jake Fraley. Low-key, look at the numbers he's put up this year. Really good season. Now, he is currently on the IL with an injury, but prior to that, he has been having a great year. Career highs in home runs, doubles, RBI, stolen bases, batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS. Fraley has looked great. And ever since he's gotten out of the lineup, the Reds have kind of been struggling a bit. In 92 games, 15 homers, 14 doubles, 63 RBIs with 20 stolen bases, hitting .263 with a 346 on base, 467 slugging, and an 813 OPS, which gives him an OPS plus at 115. He also plays a great outfield. He's basically a better version of Jesse Winker, which they used to have. He's more valuable because he's not a complete loser in the outfield. The Reds miss Fraley in this lineup. He was really good this year. Look at the Colorado Rockies. Gonna give him a couple claps. Great job grabbing Nolan Jones for absolutely nothing from the Guardians. Can't believe they let him go because, yeah, Nolan Jones, that former top prospect, it's happening in Colorado. He's only played in 67 games thus far, but 12 home runs, 14 doubles with 36 RBIs. He's also stole 8 bases. He is still striking out a ton, but it doesn't matter because he's hitting .280 with a 363 on base, 504 slugging, and an 868 OPS. Good for an OPS plus at 122. Jones is hitting the ball harder than ever, running faster than he has. He's just revitalized his career out in Colorado, where he never really got a shot in Cleveland. I think the Guardians are probably kicking themselves over this one. They could have used this left-handed power bat for sure. Let's head down southeast to the Miami Marlins. Their most underrated player is a newly acquired one. That's Jake Burger. Jake Burger is a barrel king. I'm not even joking. He's like elite at barrels. And for those of you at home wondering what a barrel is and why you should care, it's essentially the best way you can hit a baseball. You hit it hard and you hit it in the air. Jake Burger is currently 4th in Major League Baseball on barrels per plate appearance percentage at 11.4%, only behind Shohei Ohtani, Corey Seager, and Aaron Judge, 3 of the best hitters in the league. He's ahead of Yordan Alvarez, Matt Olson, who has 43 home runs. Jake Burger may not really have a position in the field, but there is no doubt this guy mashes. And so far this season, 27 homers, 20 doubles, 63 RBIs, most of which came with the Chicago White Sox, a 240 average with a 305 on base, 528 slugging, 833 OPS for an OPS plus at 123, gives the Marlins a much needed power bat to go along with Jorge Soler. It's kind of a really good deal by the Marlins to get this guy. He can swing it. Keeping it in the NL East, let's talk about the most underrated player on my New York Mets. It's got to be Francisco Lindor. I know there's some of you Lindorks out there who are still haters for some reason, but at time of recording on August 20th, Francisco Lindor is 6th in Major League Baseball in F4 with 4.9, only behind Bobby Witt Jr., Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., Shohei Ohtani, and Mookie Betts. All those guys MVP candidates, and Bobby Witt Jr., who's just becoming the best player in front of our eyes, like we said. Lindor this season has 22 homers, 28 doubles, 2 triples, and 75 RBIs, stealing 21 bases, hitting .252 with a 335 on base, 465 slugging, and an 800 OPS. That gives him an OPS plus at 119, WRC plus at 122. He's simply one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball. People in baseball hate him. Even some Mets fans hate him. I can't wrap my head around it. It's brain dead because this guy's an absolute stud every way you look at it. Glove, bat, on the base paths. He's awesome. And I do think he's the most underrated player on the Mets. Just gets no love. The most underrated player on the Minnesota Twins, I'm going to go with Bailey Ober. The Twins pitching has definitely gotten a lot better this year, and Bailey Ober is a big part of it. We've seen improvements to Sonny Gray and Pablo Lopez, but Ober, to me, is the one who's taken the biggest step forward. After a solid 2022 where he had a 3.21 ERA, we're seeing him pitch more this year and more effectively. 3.4 ERA in 113 innings, a whip at 1.126, striking out 24.6% of the batters he faced, walking under 5%. Bailey Ober is never going to be this guy that you say, wow, when you watch him pitch, but he's got great control, induces a lot of soft contact, and is overall just a really good pitcher. Shout out Bailey Ober. Looks like not the expert for those of you who are NCAA football baseball fans. Now, for the Atlanta Braves, it's pretty impossible to pick someone because they're just all really good and everybody knows it, but I ended up going with Sean Murphy as the most underrated player. Sean Murphy for sure has an argument to be the best catcher in baseball, but I think he kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit with how good this Braves lineup is. He doesn't even play every day sometimes. In 87 games this year, he's hit 20 homers, 18 doubles, and 64 RBIs with a 278 average, 387 on base, 538 slugging, and 925 OPS for an OPS plus at 145. I mean, that's just absolutely disgusting. If you look at players with a minimum of 350 plate appearances this season, he's 14th in F4 at 4.3 coming from the catcher position, plays great defense, great offense. He's a complete package, and I think he's probably the most underrated player on the Braves. For the Boston Red Sox, there was a few options, but I ended up going with old reliable. Justin Turner continues to be underrated, undervalued, ended up being a great signing by Chaim Bloom in the Sox front office because, wow, Justin Turner has had another great year, like he always does. Lock Justin Turner in for a 280 average, 350 on base, 460, 470 slugging, and an 800 OPS. He's basically done that every year since he left the Mets in 2013. 2014, since 2023, he's been phenomenal. And this year it continued: 19 homers, 25 doubles, 75 RBIs with an 832 OPS, 121 OPS plus. Yeah, he's getting older, but the production hasn't stopped. Justin Turner is still a stud. Halfway through the video here, we've got the Detroit Tigers up next, and their most underrated player, I'm going with Kerry Carpenter. Could have gone Riley Green, could have gone Torkelson, could have gone Troy Holton. There's a lot of choices, but to me, Kerry Carpenter is just actually so good. In only 80 games this year, under 300 plate appearances, 17 homers, 11 doubles, and a triple with 46 RBIs, hitting 281 with a 343 on base, 519 slugging, 862 OPS for an OPS plus at 134. In terms of players with a minimum of 250 plate appearances this year, Kerry Carpenter is 19th in Major League Baseball in terms of WRC plus at 137. That's gross. He doesn't strike out that often. He gets on base. He crushes baseballs, hits the ball so hard. Another barrel king. Don't look now, but the Tigers are low-key grabbing some guys who could put together a pretty decent baseball team the next few years. Kerry Carpenter is for sure part of those future plans. Talking about another barrel king, Christian Walker. Oofa, have you looked at his Baseball Savant page? Looks like Mike Trout's. Christian Walker, former University of South Carolina Gamecock, continues to be one of the most underrated players in all of baseball. All he does is mash. We saw him last year hit 36 home runs, finish with an 800 OPS, but he's been even better this season. In 121 games, 28 homers, 34 doubles, 84 RBIs with 8 stolen bases, hitting 274 with a 351 on base, 535 slugging, and 886 OPS for an OPS plus at 139. He's got a WRC plus at 134. He plays great defense at first base, striking out under 20% of the time, walking over 10. There's nothing not to like about Christian Walker. He's an all-around phenomenal player. Argument as one of the better first basemen in baseball. Speaking of another criminally underrated first baseman, Texas Rangers first baseman Nathaniel Lowe. I think he's the most underrated player on that team. Similarly to Walker, I think just doesn't get the love of some of the big names like a Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson, Paul Goldschmidt. But Nathaniel Lowe is equally as good, or maybe just a little bit lesser than them. Still fantastic. Had a huge season last year where he finished with an 851 OPS, won the Silver Slugger in the American League. While this year is a little bit down, still great season. 15 homers, 33 doubles, 65 RBIs with a 277 average, 366 on base, 449 slugging, and an 815 OPS. Him being able to raise his walk rate all the way up to 12% after last season is just impressive while also keeping the power numbers. Nathaniel, don't call me Nate Lowe, is just one of the better first basemen in the game. Quick, can you name the pitcher with the second lowest ERA in Major League Baseball? Did you say Justin Steele? Oh, you didn't? Yeah, that's because he's underrated. You don't know about him. Or if you do, you didn't think he's this good. Justin Steele, clearly the most underrated player on the Cubs, doesn't get enough love for a guy who's just a very, very good pitcher. So far, he's 14-3 on the year. Not a wins-lost video, but still pretty impressive. With a 2.8 ERA, like I said, second lowest in Major League Baseball. An ERA plus that is the best in Major League Baseball at 163. This is all happening in 132 innings pitched this season, a whip at 1.167. The FIP loves him too at 3.12. Like, Justin Steele's just really good. Yeah, he doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. Yeah, he's not the biggest, most daunting guy on the mound, but this guy can just straight up pitch. He's an overall fantastic pitcher, walks little to nobody, has a walk rate at 5.1% this year, which is just so low. Justin Steele is boring, but he's a very good pitcher. Quick, again, who is tied for first with the lowest ERA in the American League this year? Did you guess Kyle Bradish? Because that's the answer. Another guy criminally underrated. The Baltimore Orioles might have found one of their big pitching pieces for the future here in Bradish because he looks great this season. Bit of a rough rookie year, but this year a lot of steps forward. So far in 127 2/3 innings this season, Bradish has a 3.03 ERA and a whip at 1.10. Bradish is rocking a career high K rate around 23-24%. The walks are way down, under 7% this season. He's been getting a ton of ground balls, 47% ground ball rate this year, way over the MLB average. You combine that with the strikeouts that he's getting, with the lack of walks in that big ballpark in Baltimore, Kyle Bradish is in for a nice career, which is also crazy because coming out of New Mexico State, a very, very hard place to pitch. But I think the Orioles are pretty pleased that they were able to trade Dylan Bundy to the Angels for him because he's just simply way better. How about about those Tampa Bay Rays? Their most underrated player, I'm going to go with Yandy Diaz. I think most people know Yandy is good, but let's just praise how elite he has been offensively this season. In 107 games, 16 homers, 26 doubles, 60 RBIs. Doesn't jump off the page. But how about an American League best batting average at 325, and on base at 402, slugging 502, OPS 904. In terms of WRC plus, he's 8th in Major League Baseball this season at 158. He just absolutely mashes. A walk rate at 10%, a K rate at 16.5. Those numbers are disgusting with the power potential that he has. He hits the ball so hard. Yeah, he's off left first base, but who cares? He mashes. Yandy Diaz is a beast. He's just got absolute pythons attached to his arms. Huge muscles. The most underrated player on the Cardinals is obviously Lars Nootbaar. I think Cardinals fans have been hip to him, but maybe the greater, bigger baseball fans aren't quite sure just yet, but you should be. He's an on-base machine. 382 on base this year with a 283 average, 453 slugging, and 835 OPS for an OPS plus at 128. He's now put together about a 200-game stretch where you're looking at around 26 homers, 34 doubles, 80 RBIs with some stolen bases, and an 813 OPS. Rocking a walk rate the last 2 years of 14.3% with a strikeout rate of 20%. Like, Lars Nootbaar's bat-to-ball skills, plate discipline are absolutely elite. Plays pretty good outfield as well. He's relatively young, turning 26 in a couple weeks. As long as Nootbaar can stay healthy, this is going to be a very big piece of the Cardinals' future. Blue Jays didn't know what to do, so I went with a reliever, and that reliever is Trevor Richards. Didn't realize he was having this good of a season. So far in 54 2/3 innings, a 2.96 ERA with a whip at 1.189 and a FIP at 3.74, ERA plus 142, striking out way more batters than he ever has in his career, not giving up many hits. He's rocking a K rate right now, career best at 36.4%. That's absolutely disgusting. Along with a 10% walk rate, which is a little high, but when you strike out 36%, yeah, I don't care. I believe he struck out more batters in baseball with a changeup than any other pitcher in the league. Trevor Richards, looking really good in relief for the Blue Jays. Underrated reliever this year, him and Tim Meza. This next player was so good. I mean, won an MVP, then struggled and is completely back to being good again. Christian Yelich is criminally underrated for the Brewers. And it makes sense. I mean, we've seen a couple years where he just wasn't that great coming off of MVP caliber seasons. So he went from being an MVP player to overrated to now being underrated. While the power numbers are not where they were in 18 and 19, Yelich is still putting up a great season this year. 16 homers, 28 doubles, and 66 RBIs with 25 stolen bases in 120 games. Hitting 286 with a 373 on base, 455 slugging, and an 827 OPS. We've seen Yelich return to that patient approach, not swinging and missing, not striking out a lot, and still hitting the ball hard. Yeah, he might not be that MVP caliber player we saw a few years ago, but he's very productive this year, and a big reason why the Brewers have been able to have some success. This next player is currently on the IL for the Cleveland Guardians, but he is criminally underrated. I'm going to go with Josh Naylor. Now, J-Ram, obviously, classic pick here, but I want to give some love to Josh Naylor because he's been having a phenomenal season this year. 96 games, 15 homers, 25 doubles, 79 RBIs, hitting 306 with the 346 on base, 500 slugging, and an 846 OPS. By far the best season of his career that he's had. We've seen him drastically drop the strikeout rate even more to 14.6%, which is crazy for a guy with his power, and his walk rate's at 6.2%. So he's shown power, he's shown the ability to walk more, and he's hitting lefties better than he ever has in his career, which is huge because Josh Naylor was a big platoon guy, but now you can kind of play him against both. Josh Naylor from Canada, playing with his brother. Most underrated player on the Guardians. Most underrated player on the San Francisco Giants has to be Wilmer Flores. What a year Wilmer's having. Like, yeah, he kind of can't play anywhere in the field. He's a bit of a butcher, but wow, he's mashing at the plate. 91 games, 16 homers, 19 doubles, and 41 RBIs, hitting 299 with a 355 on base, 531 slugging, and 887 OPS for an OPS plus at 140. In terms of WRC plus for players that have had 300 plate appearances or more, Wilmer Flores ranks 16th at 139, ahead of guys like Mike Trout, Luis Arias, Pete Alonso, Christian Walker. Yeah, that's Wilmer Flores right now, having by far the best season of his career, and he's had good years in the past. It's just, wow, what a year he's having right now. Cut down the strikeout rate again to 14.5%, walking 7.6% of the time. Wilmer Flores is keeping this Giants offense moving and going. He'll always have a special place in my heart. He cried on the field as a Met. Happy to see Wilmer playing so well. Here's again, tough to pick with this team, but I ended up going with Mookie Betts. Now, don't get mad at me. Don't hate me. I know everyone knows he's good, but he's like, what, maybe the third, second, fourth best player in Major League Baseball, and myself included, has been disrespectful to him in the past. He might be the National League MVP right now. Mookie Betts, in 117 games, has 34 homers, one off his career high, 32 doubles, 86 RBIs, hitting 298 with a 394 on base, 595 slugging, and a 989 OPS. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Are you insane? What's going on here, Mookie Betts? Oh yeah, and he's playing Gold Glove defense in right field, and he's playing second base, and he's playing shortstop. What can this guy not do? He could literally dunk a ball, and he's 5'9". He's striking out 16% of the time, walking 13%, hitting a home run in 6% of his at-bats this season. It's just like, it's so crazy how good Mookie Betts is. And I know you know, but I had to pick someone from the Dodgers, and he was the most fun person to talk about because he's without a doubt the fourth best player at worst in Major League Baseball? Can you believe the Red Sox traded him? Another player that maybe isn't the best fit for this video, but I'm still going with it. Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees is their most underrated player. To be fair, it's hard to pick on their team. They have horrendous players this season. They're having a terrible year. Garrett Cole, not having a bad year, though. Like I said, tied for Kyle Bradish for the lowest ERA in the American League at 3.03. He's thrown the most innings in the American League as well at 160.1. He has a whip at 1.073, a FIP at 3.46. He's just simply one of the two best pitchers in Major League Baseball. It's between him and Spencer Strider, realistically. And there are plenty of people who did not even have him in their top 10 pitchers this year coming into the season. I had Garrett Cole even low at number 6 or 7. There's some respect on Garrett Cole's name. Spider tack don't matter. The sticky stuff doesn't matter. He is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Can't wait to see him opt out. For the Chicago White Sox, their most underrated player is kind of one of their only good ones. That's going to be Luis Robert Jr. Always gets disrespected. Always doesn't really get enough love as he should. He's having an incredible season. Luis Robert is number 7 in F4 in Major League Baseball, tied with Francisco Lindor at 4.9. Plays great center field as always. Hits the ball extremely hard. I mean, he's a super fun player to watch. It's just you got to watch the White Sox, which is tough. While he does strike out a bit and sometimes seem a little disinterested, yeah, these numbers are crazy. 33 homers, 30 doubles, 67 RBIs, and 16 stolen bases thus far this season. Hitting 273 with a 326 on base, 568 slugging, and an 894 OPS. Luis Robert is one of the best center fielders in the game. He's a freak. For the penultimate team here, that means second to last, the Seattle Mariners are up, and I'm going to give some love to JP Crawford, who has had a really good season for the Mariners. JP Crawford, career highs across the board. 107 games this year. He's hit 10 home runs, the most in his career, 26 doubles, 38 RBIs, while hitting 266 with a 379 on base, 411 slugging, 790 OPS. Now, I know none of those numbers really jump off the page. It's like, whoa, incredible, amazing. But JP Crawford has improved every single year pretty much since getting to the Mariners. And while defensively, he's not that great, he's getting on base, he's putting the ball in play, he's doing exactly what the Mariners need in this lineup. I could have put J-Rod here because like people were starting to doubt him again at the beginning of the year, but I want to give some love to JP Crawford, who has been, at least value-wise, one of the better shortstops in baseball this season. And then last but certainly not least, the most underrated player on the Houston Astros, I'm gonna go with Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick has always been viewed as kind of this platoon, split-time guy out in the outfield. And this year, while he's only playing 81 games, I mean, he's having the best season of his career, especially with the counting numbers even. Career high in home runs at 17, career high in doubles at 13, tied for career high in RBIs at 50, most stolen bases of his career at 13, 281 average, 370 on base, 525 slugging, 895 OPS for an OPS plus at 144. Yeah, you just know those numbers are good. You've heard them before. Getting on base, hitting bombs, playing good defense out in the outfield. Chas McCormick has completely changed the outlook of what kind of player you thought he was into someone who is a very, very good Major League Baseball player now. Chas Kane McCormick, you, sir, are a stud. So there they are, the most underrated players for every single team in Major League Baseball. I'd love to know who you guys think is the most underrated player in the entire league. Let me know in the comments down below. Drop a like on the video if you want to see the most overrated player, as well as subscribe so you don't miss out on the content coming at you. Follow me over on all my social media at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. And that's where I'll wrap up, guys. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.